Hi guys! Today we're going to be multiplying and dividing rational expressions. Remember, rational just means it's a fraction, so we're going to have fractions with x on top and bottom. Under what conditions is each polynomial undefined? What you're going to do here is identify values of the variable that make the denominator equal to 0. So, just like we did before, this is similar to finding domain. The steps that you guys are going to take to multiply, first thing you're going to want to do is factor. Next you want to multiply or squish everything together. And then finally you want to divide out common factors. So you're always going to look for a factor with one on the top and one on the bottom. So just like when we found wholes. Let's try some. Alright, I have no clue why it says example 2 instead of example 1, so if it bothers you, just change that to a 1. Alright, so we're going to multiply. I want you to assume that all of the expressions are defined, meaning we're not going to have a 0 in the denominator. So, nothing we have to do there. First thing I want to do is squish it all together. I want to combine the top. So by doing that, you want to see how many x's there are. So I've got 1x there, 7 x's. So I've got x to the 8th. And then I've got the 20. So the numerator is 20x to the 8th. The denominator, I've got 15 times 2, which gives me 30. I've got x to the 1st and x to the 4th, so I've got x to the 5th. Alright, take a look at just the numbers, the 20 and the 30. You want to simplify so you can really cancel those zeros out, or just reduce it so you've got 2/3. Now take a look at the x's. If you remember with exponents, we just do the numerator minus the denominator, or you can look to see you have 3 extra x's in the numerator, so my answer is 2x cubed over 3. Let's try another one. Again, first thing you want to do is combine everything in the numerator, so I've got 3 times 10 is 30. Figure out how many x's you have, so you have 5 and you have 3. So I have x to the 8th, y to the 7th. So I added those exponents. If you're wondering, you multiply exponents when it's power over power. So if it would have been y cubed to the 4th, then that would have given you y to the 12th. But we're not doing that, so you don't have to worry about it. Alright, in the denominator, you've got 2 times 9 is 18. Again, you've got 3 x's and 2 x's, so 3 plus 2 is 5, x to the 5th. 7 plus 5 is 12, so y to the 12th. Now you just need to reduce. So if you look, you've got 30 over 18. Those are both divisible by 6. So 30 divided by 6 is 5. 18 divided by 6 is 3. Look at your x's. You have 8 in the numerator, 5 in the denominator. 8 minus 5 is x cubed. Your y's, you've got 7 in the numerator, 12 in the denominator. 7 minus 12 is really negative 5. If you have a negative exponent, that needs to go to the denominator. Or you could just look to see you've got extra y's in the denominator, so it's y to the 5th. Alright. So these are what I would consider pretty basic. We're going to get into a little bit more difficult ones where you're going to have to factor. Let's go. Alright. First thing I want you to do is look at each binomial here, or trinomial, polynomial, whatever, and see if you can factor that. So, x squared minus x minus 2 is going to become x minus 2 x plus 1. In the denominator there, when I factor this one, I've got x plus 5, x minus 1. Remember, you're just looking for two numbers you can multiply to get negative 5 that add up to positive 4. Alright, now I'm moving on to 5x plus 25. The only thing I can do here is take out a GCF. So I'm left with 5 times x plus 5. And then finally, I can't do anything with x minus 2, but I am going to put parentheses around it because it's altogether, it's really just a factor. Step 2 when you were doing this, said to actually go ahead and multiply. So we're going to squish this all together. I just really have one big fraction line. So now I have one big fraction. We just have to simplify. So look on top, look at the bottom, see if there's anything that will cancel. I've got an x minus 2 in the numerator and an x minus 2 in the denominator. Those cancel out. I also have an x plus 5 in the numerator and denominator. The only thing left over now in the numerator is a 5, x plus 1. In the denominator I have an x minus 1. Alright, so I added a little note here you might want to jot down, but we were done at this point. I don't want you to over-cancel and think that you can divide or cancel out this x with this x or this one with this one, because those are parts of a factor. They're just part of a factor. You can only cancel out whole factors, things that are in parentheses, so make sure you're careful with that. Alright, let's try another one. The next one, first thing I'm going to do is I am going to factor the numerator. So think about two numbers you can multiply to get negative 36 that add up to 5. So that would be an x plus 9 and an x minus 4. In the denominator, if you look at this right here, it's actually backwards. So I'm going to rewrite that. What it really says let me see, I'm going to do this out to the side. Got negative x squared plus 7x. So I'm just going to work with this up here. If I factor out a GCF, I'm actually going to take out a negative x. When I do that, I'm left with x minus 7. So that's actually what I'm going to put in my denominator. Negative x, x minus 7. So if they're out of order where you have a smaller term first, go ahead and rearrange them. Alright, times. Remember, you can make anything into a fraction by putting it over 1. So this x squared minus 11x plus 28 is really in the numerator. Negative 7 and negative 4 multiply to give you negative 28, and they add up to negative 11. And I still have a 1 in my denominator. So we factored it. Next step is to multiply it all together. When you multiply it all together, it really just becomes one big fraction so that you can cancel. I have an x minus 7 that will cancel from the numerator to the denominator, and that's it. That's about all we can do. So what I'm left with is an x plus 9 as a factor. Notice I have two factors of x minus 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it as x minus 4 squared. It would be correct if you left it as x minus 4, x minus 4. In the denominator, I just have a negative x. Now, this answer would be perfect, or what you could do is rewrite it with the negative sign out in front. So I just want you to realize that those mean the same thing. That negative sign at the bottom could just stay down there or come out front.